Hey guys, how's it going? xTbird here, coming at you with a brand new video. And today I have a really cool topic for you guys, and it is how to get the pin in the pop-up cups. In this particular gameplay, I'm playing a solo pop-up cup, but this works for duos, squads, you name it. It's going to help you improve your game and get that pin. So as of late, the pop-up cups actually was introduced to us around a month or two ago, and they've really gained popularity due to a lot of the popular streamers and Fortnite pros. They are participating in them, and also the Winter Royale. The Winter Royale really showed us as a community that anybody can make it. You no longer need to have the popular name or be a super popular streamer or YouTuber. Now it's solely based off skill and can you execute it when it matters in the tournament. And the tournament layout is very similar to the pop-up cups. So now you have more and more players participating in them, which probably led you to my video. How to do better in the pop-up cups, how to get the pins in the pop-up cups, you name it. So, the first tip I have for you guys is more of a tip if you're not the highest skilled player. Maybe you're new to Fortnite, maybe you haven't played as much, or maybe you're just new to competitive Fortnite, and it's a little difficult for you. The best way to get points, believe it or not, is to start later in the cycle of the tournament. So what I mean by that is I've actually stumbled across this tip on accident because I've come home from work late, or I just didn't realize that the pop-up cup was actually happening. I would accidentally start like an hour or two later, and you're versing players that just really aren't skilled. It's because they've been playing the game for an hour or two and they haven't gotten a point yet. So you're kind of just in a game full of bots, to be, for a lack of a better term. You're kind of just playing against players that aren't very skilled, and it's a really easy way to just come in, bang out 9 points right away. I don't really do this tip intentionally because if I'm on and I realize the cup is, I just want to play. And I'm not really concerned about the competition. I actually like to practice against good competition. But I think every time I've started the tournament late, I've gotten a win right away. So maybe that's something you guys want to consider. Like I said, you'll get a quick 9 points if you get the win and the max points. And then you're kind of halfway there. So it is something to think about. But the second tip is more of an actual tip to give you guys. And it is to really focus on a spot. All right, the biggest thing I think is you have to come up with a spot that you like to land. Like me, I'm a very impatient person, so a lot of the times I'll land like the first spot I see on the map that I kind of am familiar with, and it's really not the play to go. If you watch any of the pros like Poach and Vivid, they land at containers every game, when it's a tournament or if it's a scrim or a pop-up cup. That's their spot. They know the ins and outs, they know all the weapon drops, they know all the crates. It's just so familiar to them, and they're comfortable enough fighting there early game. So that's why they land there every game. Liquid Chap and 72 Hours, they land Wailing Woods. Tfue, Westworld. So you know what I'm talking about by now. That's their spot. That's where they feel comfortable with. And when you get a big enough name, it'll become uncontested. So what you want to look for when you're trying to think of a spot, one, where's a spot that you are comfortable fighting with? Believe it or not, in Fortnite, it's not always just your skill and how good of a PvP player you are. A lot of the times it's, are you familiar with are you comfortable with the environment you're fighting in? There's some spots on the map I just get destroyed, it feels like, every time I go there, mainly because it's a spot maybe you can get third-partied, or maybe it's just a spot where it's just awkward. There's a lot of high grounds and low grounds. So it's definitely, there's spots on the map where I feel like I do great every time I go there. So kind of discover that. Play around, land on different spots on the map in regular lobbies, and then kind of stick to it. Also, is there a lot of loot there? Is there a lot of chests? Are there a lot of weapon drops? Is there a lot of materials to be harvested, and not just wood? Is there wood, metal, brick? That's obviously ideal. Also, are you doing solos, duos, or squads? Because sometimes you can land somewhere if you're a solo that you couldn't land if you're playing as a duo or a squad, because maybe there's just not enough loot for more than one person. All of these need to be accounted for. For example, my solo spot, believe it or not, is Tomato Temple. I'm just super familiar with that area now, and it seems like there's always a few players there, and I just know how to find that first weapon and have an instant advantage. So I do like to land Tomato Temple a lot in solos, but in duos, my favorite spot to land is Paradise Palms. For some reason, I just am very successful there, and it's usually a lot of people, and like I said, I just feel comfortable fighting there, so I feel like I have an advantage over most of other players. But once you get this spot, it really gets you into a rhythm. It gives you just a spot to land every game, and like I said, the best players have their spot, so definitely claim your spot. Second tip I have is kind of just look at what game you're playing. When I first started doing the pop-up cups, the first thing I would do, I tried to find like a magic formula, and I was like, okay, well, if I land hot every drop, I can maybe get 3 kills and get a quick point, and if I die, then okay, I only wasted like a minute or two. And now that doesn't really work. It didn't really work back then, and it really doesn't work now, mainly because now you have a game cap. You have a 30 game cap, and it might not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of games to play. Like, I don't think I've ever reached the cap, but it also might be because of the way I've been playing the game. So it leads me to my point. So say if you have your spot now, and you land, and say no one lands there. I used to be like, I need to get max points, so I'm missing out on all these eliminations. Now I just have to point. I just have to push everybody. And that's really not the good way to go about it anymore. I kind of discovered, okay, if I don't have anybody here, I can fully loot. I'll probably be fully shielded. I'll probably have decent loot if where I'm landing is indeed a good spot. And now let me just go for placement. What you want to do is look at every game and try to figure out how can I get the most points that is realistic in this game. Now, if I landed hot and there's a lot of people there and I end up coming away with like 5 kills, then I know, okay, I can take my time, play slow and steady, and I can probably get those other 2 eliminations. I'm going to play a little aggressive so I can try to lock up that other point. But in the same sense, I am not going to force anything. And what happens is, when you have a spot, so say now if you land somewhere and there's nobody there, now you know, okay, my plan is just to farm up, get all my loot, and try to just survive till the end game, and maybe I can come away with one elimination point. You don't need max points, and that's where I'm really getting at. Try to totally maximize your decision making, and that will maximize your points. Because what I did was I looked at pro players, and especially for the Winter Royale, a lot of the people that qualified for the Winter Royale only played like 10 games. They made every game count, and that didn't mean that they had max points every game. That just meant that, okay, maybe they took advantage of eliminations that game. Maybe they took advantage of placement. So it's really important to note that. Another tip I have for you guys is be prepared for Endgame. If you've gotten far into the pop-up cups and you've gotten a lot of points and the games get a little more sweaty, you'll know that it's unlike anything you've probably played Endgame Fortnite, unless you've done scrims or you've done other pop-up cups. It gets very competitive, and it becomes very, like, if you watched any of the skirmishes, it kind of gets like that to a degree, of course not fully, but a lot of the times you'll have people tunneling and people building on top of one another and just trying to scurry to the circle. So what I'm trying to get at is save your good materials for endgame. I use wood almost the whole game until the end. Then I'll start using my brick and metal. And because you'll see when you start building up on top of people and you're building in metal or brick, it gives, if they try shooting at it, you're getting a free shot on them because it's not going to break quick. And it's just going to overwhelm them with the look of it. So I hope this video helped you guys. Good luck with your tournaments, and I will catch you guys next time.